Marc Berman of the New York Post with Armen and Levack on 104.5 The Team. You're home for New York sports. And Mark, the New York Knicks are currently 2-6. But after talking to you a couple weeks ago, you weren't very optimistic. I mean, 2-6 at this point with the 5-game skid. Is this about what we expected?
Yeah, I probably told you 1-7 after the first 8 games. A very tough schedule with a lot of Eastern Conference playoff teams. And I did think they, after the 2-1 start, though, they raised some expectations. But I don't know how you could expect them to beat a good team with Shane Larkin as your starting point guard. The guy barely played as a rookie. So it's 2-6. And if they were 2-6 with Jose Calderon, I'd say it's a concern. But I still think when Jose comes back, they can make up some ground.
Mark, earlier this week, Adam Silver had a little fun at the Knicks' expense, saying that clearly it takes a while. And Phil was very un-Phil by lashing back and saying he didn't find it humorous. Is this the new Phil Jackson? Was there an underlying message? What's going on with Phil Jackson all of a sudden?
Yeah, he was definitely irritable. I think he's tired of people taking little pokes at the triangle that won him 11 championships, especially the commissioner. One of the lines he said is, well, I don't understand it, but, they're still learning it. And I think Phil's theme throughout, since being hired here, is that the triangle is, quote, not rocket science, doesn't want the players to think it's too complicated, and he thinks too much is being made of its complex nature. And to have the commissioner say, well, I don't understand it, and it looks like they're still learning, it feeds to that perception. And I think he was annoyed. NBA doesn't fine him because I think they realized the commissioner probably shouldn't have been talking about the triangle at a charity press conference.
But, Mark, this is Phil Jackson getting annoyed. I mean, is this early frustration from the president of basketball operations?
Without a doubt. As much as he said, he expected a slow start and even told the players as much as they entered the regular season, I think he feels that his legacy is being affected a little. Listen, if he bombs out here in New York, there'll be those critics who say, well, shows the triangle wasn't all it was cracked up to be if you don't have Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal and Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. So I think in some ways he may regret coming out of retirement to do this if he does bomb out. Of course, if he has success, it will be the pinnacle of a great career. But so far, the critics have been out.
You mentioned the lack of that big star like an MJ or a Kobe, and due to some speculation on some other quote unquote experts' parts, they say there's a possibility of a Kobe Bryant trade to New York. Is that just pie in the sky craziness?
Well, it's just speculation. I don't think the Knicks believe it, and I know the Lakers don't want anything to do with it. And the question is, does Kobe want to play in New York? Several years ago when Isaiah Thomas was running the show, he went to Los Angeles and met with Kobe in Newport Beach, where he lives. And Kobe always had a yen for New York City, having spent some of his childhood and high school in Philadelphia in the shadow of New York City. But I don't see it. I think it would be, it would have to be Kobe initiated. And Jeannie Buss, the only drawing card the Lakers have right now is Kobe Bryant, and no one would come to the Staples Center if they made the trade. So I can't imagine the Lakers doing it unless Kobe Bryant begged them. And I don't see that happening. I think he had a yen for it. But if he's going to lose in New York, which, he only wants to play this year and next year, if he's going to lose in New York, because they're not going to be able to add other pieces around him besides Melo, is Melo and Kobe enough next season with a lot of minimum players? I'm not sure.
Mark, the overtone we're getting from the Knicks is that these players have till December to figure it out, and that Phil Jackson is going to look at other options. If Kobe, maybe not, is not a realistic option, I know it's a month or so away, but is there anybody in your mind, targets that we should be looking at or keeping an eye on that could be an option for the Knicks?
Well, there's no question that Phil made the statement about we'll know in December who's going to learn this triangle or not. And he'll be definitely looking to make a deal, but the deal would have to, unless he's getting back a really standout player, would have to be an expiring contract. And he'd like to trade J.R. Smith. J.R. has another year left in his contract, although he could opt out also. If he opts out, the Knicks are in a lot better shape with their cap. But say he doesn't opt out, then they still have great cap space, but I could see Phil looking to make a salary dump more than improve the team and move J.R. Smith, for an expiring contract. They've spoken to Indiana. The Pacers have definite interest in J.R., who doesn't look very comfortable in this offense.
Mark, Derek Fisher came out this week, said the team is playing passive, not playing with their instincts. How is Derek Fisher with the early struggles as a rookie head coach so far?
I wrote a column after the big win in Cleveland, how he had really got out of Phil's shadow. He had made all the right moves in defending LeBron, and it was a great moment. But at some point, you have to have some consistency with your rotation. And as he said the other day, I have no rotation. And I don't think that's a great thing. I think he's messed with the starting lineup a little too much. I know they don't have Jose, and then Pablo went down, but it's been a little too scattered, and I think the players don't know who's in, who's out. So I think he struggled with that. His first year as a coach, he's trying all different things, and at 2-5, 2-6, you can't really, say he's doing a wonderful job, but he's at least keeping the guys positive. I think they're positive in the locker room, despite them talking about the triangle. Sorry, that's a train. But despite them talking about the triangle as a tough thing to master, they remain positive and confident that they'll get it down soon.
Marc Berman of the New York Post on Twitter at @NYPost_Berman. Mark, always appreciate your time. Go catch that train. We'll catch you up again in the future, man, pretty soon.
All right, great. Thanks so much, guys.